Hello, everybody, and welcome today to our presentation. This is Muhammad Ahmed Zaki, certified project management professional and project management consultant. Now, we're going to be discussing today our Chapter 1 framework, right? We're going to be looking onto the most important parts you need to cover in order to pass your PMP exam and to become a certified project management professional that will able to aid you throughout your professional career and to be able to manage large projects to medium to small projects in a more standard fashion way. So we're going to be starting first of all, we're going to be talking about the difference in between the sixth edition and seven editions. What differences do we have during our undergoing the 2022 exams? So first of all, you need to know that the sixth edition it was released in 2017, while the seventh edition it was released in 2021. And in the sixth edition, we do have the five process groups starting from initiation, planning, executing, monitor, control, and closure, while we do have 12 project performance domains we need to focus upon. We do have in the sixth edition 10 knowledge areas, and in the seventh edition 12 project management principles. 49 processes there in the sixth edition. We don't have none into the seventh edition. That's been developed by Project Management Institute, Management Institute. Here it's been developed by the project teams and the outcome being focused. So when we look onto the project management principles, so we need to know that it includes stewardship. Stewardship, it talks about how the way you can um, get influence to organizations, how we work with your team, right, and perform assessments to them, right? And then we have the team who are working onto your project, okay, the resources, stakeholders, those whom are all involved working onto the project, whether internal or external, whom their interested might be affected, right, positive or negative, value driven, right, what is the value I'm delivering. Every project it has a features, it has a value that it drives, right, that makes it constitute that value, makes the that project of a product that's being utilized with the customer, right, provides him with solutions to overcome all difficulties in his work. So that's the value driven into the product that you provide. System thinking, ways in order that you can overcome any root cause of problems, the best solutions, the alternative solutions that you can provide. Leadership, it is directing your team and causing your team to be following you throughout all your decisions and the objectives you're going to be achieving. Tailoring, that is, your set a size for every customer has a certain requirement, so you need to tailor the solutions according to his requirements that fit his needs, right? And that complexity, all projects are faced with complexity, and it's the rule of a project management to work out with a team in order to decrease that complexity, find solutions and workable solutions. Risks, all the projects are always high in the risks, right? And there's a lot of uncertainties that the project's being affected and that needs to have a risk response plan. It's very important that every management, top management, stakeholders, they all contribute into the risks to be identified and to respond accordingly. So adapt resiliency. So once you have a process in place, so your team becomes get adapted to it, right? And adaptations, it's been also being used through agile systems. We're going to be looking onto it when we reach to agile based learning, chapter 15, right? And that is the way you adapt the methodology being used or the practice, right? Whether using Scrum Pan or using the Scrum or using Stream Programming, Crystal Family, Lean, Feature Driven, and resiliency it means that you should be insisting things to be done right, and whatever the circumstances you're facing, but you're still pushing to get things done. Quality, it's the measure of you meeting the customer requirements. And change, how to have a change in place, how to have a change plan document, right, that you can agree with the stakeholders that whatever is being outside the charter, what's outside the scope statement, whatever is out the contract, it's going to be considered as a change and it will be evaluated, right, according to the scope, time, budget, quality, risks, and resources. Again, we have the 12 project performance domains, whom they are stakeholders, the team, the development team who are going to be working, the project life cycle, and the planning, the project work, that's the work going to be delivered, the delivery that's going to be performed, the measurements, the uncertainty, the risks, the tailoring solutions, the model, the methods, and the artifacts that you're going to be beliefs that you do follow in order to accomplish your work and to emphasize success in your career projects. So when we start, first of all, framework, it does cover the terminology, what we need to understand it in our exam, and that is the project, right? So as we know that a project is being considered as a temporary endeavor that has a beginning and an end. As well, we know that a project, right, it is being featured by its uniqueness, the value it provided. So every project, right, once it's being executed, it should deliver either a product that we're going to be using, a service, a web portal, or research and development, right? So a result, we call it a result. And for example, results such as we're performing a market research, we're performing a research on COVID, right? So all the pharmaceutical companies, all the medical departments that have been from the WHO, World Health Organization, they had been looking for treatments for the COVID, right? And they had to initiate a project called an R&D for COVID, right? So they can find the cure for that virus, right? And then we do have every project, right? It is being progressively elaborated. And the way we call progressively elaborated, it means it's like steps. You're climbing up the steps. So the more you climb up the steps, the more you will be able to reach the top of the floor that you are looking to reach off it, right? So in similarly in the projects, right? So when you have a project, let's say I'm identifying the requirements, so the more the deeper I goes, right, I go to planning and I go back to with a team performing estimations and then so every time we're working onto the project, right, we're having a more and more understanding of the characteristics of the project and the requirements that needs to be done. And that's what will provide with residue of what we call the uniqueness of every project, a requirement that distinguish that characteristics from another project. So as we know that the projects are being divided into sub-projects, or we call them phases, right? And every sub-project, it can be treated as an external subcontracting, right? So for example, I have a project, I'm going to build a railway station. So a railway station, right? I need to build, first of all, I'll take a project called, for example, site clearance. So I need to perform the area, or we're gonna build up onto it, the railway station. We need to clear it, that there is no gas pipelines, there's no water pump pipelines. So there's a team or project manager handling a team, right, managing a team and the project requirements, right, in order to make sure that the site is clear. Another project manager who's going to perform, right, let's say that he's going to be performing the railway that's going to reside, okay, placing the let's say the cement, setting the concrete that they're going to build up onto it, the pipelines that's going to be the steel pipelines that the train station is going to be, the train's going to be moving onto it, right? So at one of these phases, right, or the sub phases or the sub projects, right, we might not be, as a company, we do have the expertise in order to work on it. So what we're going to do is that we're going to subcontract it to another expert, okay, company who they can work onto that deliverable, dividing that project into a sub project, or that sub project into work packages, into activities. Now that term, we call it a rolling wave plan. And a rolling wave plan, it means that I perform, right, a detailed plan. In Agile, we call it IID, okay, iterative incremental delivery. So in traditional waterfall, we use the term rolling wave plan, and while into the Agile, the adaptive approach, right, we use the IID, iterative incremental delivery. So let's say today, right, I'm having a project for a railway station, okay? And under that project, we have divided it into sub-projects, right? Or let's say I have a program, in other words, and I'm dividing those sub-projects. I would consider them as a projects, right? So I will have a project for the site clearance. I have a project that will build the all the concrete area that's going to be residing above it, the steel metal that the train is going to be moving all around it, right? And another part is that someone who's going to place the electric cables right around the area so that we can have electricity, we can have lighting and all that stuff, right? So electric engineers, they're going to be working on operating that part. So those are a group of projects under umbrella called a program, managed by a program manager, managing the whole set from the site clearance, from the electrical works, from the steel fabrications, all of that. They're going to be one person who's going to be manager, what we call them a program manager. So a program, it is a group of projects in which they have an equal outcome, a related scope. So the project, it fits into another project. So the output of one project, it fits into another project. Take another example. Let's say I'm on a construction project management, right? And I'm building 5 buildings of the same sizes, right? So the first, I'm managing the 5 buildings as a program manager, right? So once the first building is being constructed, so the output of that will fit into the next building with the same size, right? And they all have the 5 buildings, they have the same scope. So they are part of the large project that has been broken down to smaller projects, right? And they have the main scope and they have the same objective. But if I have different projects or a group of programs or operations whom they have an intended strategic objectives, but they don't have to be related to each other, we call them a portfolio, and that needs to be managed by a portfolio manager. So a group of projects that are programs or operations to achieve a specific business goals. Programs, they need to not to be related to each others, okay? They are accomplishing only the business strategic goals. Now, we have a terminology we need to understand in our PMI exam. You will get questions about it, and that is known as the OPM, Organizational Project Management. So today, if I'm working in a company, right, I need to know whether that, and I'm a certified project management, PMP, right, I need to know whether the organization I'm going to work at, are they following a certain standards in policy and procedures in project management, right, or they are not. So that's what we call it an OPM. Okay, so it isn't a strategy execution framework for the project, program, or portfolio management. Okay, so that's used in order to adopt certain practices. Okay, and as well, there's predictability that an organization will be producing well-performing, better results, and they're able to overcome any sustained competitive advantage. That means they can perform return on investment, they can compete with their competitors. Right. So once we have a standard adaptation of project management in a standard fashion, you will be able to make sure that there's a success story you're going to be producing compared to a company which they don't have. They are zero, no policy, no procedures, no outlining, just working in a haphazard, right? So no way they're going to succeed. So once you adapt the OPM, you need to make sure that you will be having organization undertakes the right project, so you'll be able to have a great selection method. Which project I'm going to be selecting based on the size, based on the return investment, we call it the economical value, the payback period, the internal rate of return, okay? And as well to allocate the appropriate resources they're going to be working. So you'll be having as well a capacity planning. You're going to measure what are the resources are being required, what are the correct resources are being set. As well, you will be able to ensure all level of organization that understands the strategic vision, the supports your vision and objectives and the deliverables. So we are all PM, project management, program management, portfolio, all who are working on the projects, they are in the same chapter along with their team of development or working with them. So the question comes right here. Why do project exist? Why do we have a project? So it's either you have a market demand, there's a demand on that project and that produces a certain product, okay? For example, we need to have buildings, right? So people, they can accommodate into it, right? Because they need a way of living to stay. That's why there's a project. So there's a construction project going to be working on. Organization needs to build an application software, right? In order to ease its, let's say, its financials, calculations, and able to know its resources. Let's have an HRM module. Okay, technological advancements, right? Technology keeps on moving. Metaverse, we do have digital transformations. So that's why, again, technology involvement. So that's why there's a project has been initiated. Customer request, I need to have a social website. Okay, legal requirement, we have built today a building which it violates all the standard regulations, right? The governmental regulations, okay, and it needs to be waived off. So you need to get a permit to build from the government a clear building with correct dimensions, with correct infrastructure being set. Social need, again, I need a website or to build my own market campaign. So that's why I get a company to work for me. So that's initiate a project. It's very important right here that PMIs, it provides us, there's a big differentiation in between a project, a program, and the portfolio and the operational work. Although operational work is part of the portfolio, right? But when we say the difference, when we say a project and operational work, so a project, we have agreed it's a temporary endeavor that has a beginning and an end. But the operational work is something which is being ongoing. Work is being ongoing. Manufacturing of Pepsi cans, manufacturing of water, for example, bottles. All of these, right, are being considered as an operational work. They are on daily basis, right? So we have a plan for producing certain quantities, and then the next day another quantities, and so on. It keeps on going. So it's important as well to understand the project management. So project management, it is being known as the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques in order to meet the project requirements, okay, and customer satisfaction, to build innovative customer satisfaction. So project management, he has been responsible for achieving objectives. The objectives of a project management is being known as how to identify requirements. So what are the requirements that the client needs in order the specification to produce? Project management should establish a clear and achievable objectives. You should be able to compete in between the scope, the time, the budget, the quality, the new triple constraint. You should be able to formalize what has been adapt specification. What's been required is to be delivered. Now, let's take your a question right here, area of expertise. Now, in your opinions, which of the following of project management experience is being preferred? Is it the project management being preferred to be a technical experience and business experience, technical, business, and project management experience? Now, we always say that a project management, right, in analogy, it says one in a hole and one deep inch, right? So it means that the project management, he needs to have a technical, the business, and project management experience. Now, we do have what we call a project manager officer, right? And it is a department actually that centralizes the project management. So similar, we do go to a company and we find they have a marketing department and there's a marketing head, right? So again, we need to have as well for sales. We have a sales and a sales head, finance head. So why doesn't we have for project management to have a unit that manages all the policies and procedures that the project managers or the PMO or the program managers or the portfolio managers be produced under the umbrella of the PMO, right? So a PMO project manager officer, he's actually a central department that centralizes the management of its projects. And the PMO, it has many rules to play, setting the policy and procedures, the methodologies and the templates are going to be used in the organization. He provides supportness, right, and training to the project managers. He's the one who has the capability for declining or terminating a project, okay? And as well, he's the one who allocates the projects, right? He's the one who selects the projects and allocates the project manager according. And when he allocates the projects to project managers, he looks onto the interdependency. So I won't give a portfolio for project management at different projects. So I will give him a similar project to ease for delivery. But someone who's a senior project manager, he might take two projects as being different, similar to a portfolio manager. He helps to provide resources. He's the one who's only capable of terminating the project. He also helps and aids to provide with lessons learned. He's always been involved with the project manager during initiation, right, to collect the requirements and to understand how the project is being undertaken, right. So when it comes to PMO, we do have different sort of project management offices, right. Now we do have what we call the directive, right? And directive is the highest level. So today, if I'm a PMO director, I do manage senior project manager, program managers, portfolio managers, project managers, and as well I can give them directions. Myself, I'm managing the projects, big projects, $1 million projects, right? And or $1 million project or £1 million Egyptian pounds projects. So big projects we can say as well. I am monitoring project managers and program managers and portfolio managers whom they are managing their projects, right? And as well, I can provide them with assistance, directions towards them. So that's the best part in PMO directive. Being a PMO directive, it is being a high authority level and high control in the project. Now, when we go to the second one, I'm taking it from bottom to top, controlling. Those are the prominents whom they can suggest for the methodology to be used. They can provide with, let's say, what sort of methodology can be used, what sort of templates can be used, right? And so their power is being moderate, right? And they can as well assist you a bit in certain parts of your project, okay? But we have the supportive who does not provide you with any assistance in your project, but they actually provide you, explain to you what are the policy procedures of the PMO unit, what sort of templates you're going to be using. They might explain to you how the templates, right, to fill it out, okay? So that's being known as the types of the PMO being used. Now, we need to know as well, PMI emphasized that you understand the difference between standard and regulation. Remember that standard, okay, is something that you might follow it or you might not follow it. It's up to you, right? So, because it's being built by a consensus and expert people, right, telling you what is the best standards. So for example, today, if you remember the floppy disks, we used to have 1.2 inch. That's a standard that to being manufactured by the industry to build a floppy disk with a size of 1.2 inch. 5.25, the bigger one. That's again a standard. Even when you're driving your car, you have tires. You have a standard, right, that should be how to fill up the air or the nitrogen should be 20 maximum psi. You should have more than that if in a cold weather, right? And if it could be in certain cases, if it's a hot weather, it could be 17 or 18 psi, right? So those are all standards. You might follow them, right? But if you follow them, you'll be in the safe side. If you don't follow them, you will not be in the safe side. But they are not emphasized that you follow them. But compared to regulations, which is being an imposed, right, governmental rules, right, that lets you say that you need to follow that, and those are regulatory. That, for example, if I need to build a building, I should have a work permit, a permit first of all to work on that building. I must have as well a permission, right, from the government, provided that I can build on that land and I'm constructing it with the rules of building the building for certain dimension of sizes, and as well with the quality being used for the materials being used, right, into the building, that building, okay, the concrete. So those are governmental regulations have been imposed. Take an example as well, breaking the law when you're driving your car at a higher speed, so you need to pay the fine, okay, a fine. If it's been undertaken, you might be sentenced to jail. It's a regulation of the country, and the standard is being a consensus and expert being improved. So those are basically the main constitutes of Chapter 1 framework. Of course, there are more important parts such as the people and the business and the as well the environment that we are operating the projects into. If you're interested to resume online the sessions, you can contact us, right? or you can, if you need to have face-to-face as well to present it, we are always welcome for that part. Okay. Thank you very much for your attentions and all that. We'll hope to meet you soon with resuming these chapters and the other chapters. This is Muhammad Ahmed Zaki, PMO Director. Right. Thank you very much and hope you a nice weekend.